Last week, Japan qualified for the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. This will be their 7th consecutive appearance at the finals. But returning to Qatar in December will be a reminder of World Cup qualification heartbreak for Japan 28 years ago. A night when hopes were crushed and the dream of playing in a first World Cup seemed further away than ever. This is the story of a game that has become known as the Agony of Doha. Qualification for the 1994 World Cup in the USA came at a hugely important time for Japanese football. The J-League had just been launched in 1992, with the first full season taking place in 1993. So football fever was sweeping the country, and this also carried over to the national team. Prior to the J-League, the Japan Soccer League was the top level of football in the country. It was a largely amateur, corporate team dominated divisional structure which didn't translate into successful national teams. But now it was different. With the J-League having just been launched as Japan's first professional football league, hopes were high for the national team. And that wasn't the only reason for belief. Japan had won the 1992 Asian Cup for the first time, defeating Saudi Arabia in the final. And that brings us on to another reason for the hype surrounding the national team: the players. This was a talented generation. Regular members of the first team included Rui Ramos, Masashi Nakayama, and Kazuyoshi Miura. So Japan embarked on a road to qualification for the 1994 World Cup, backed by a fervent fanbase and fronted by one of the best Japanese teams of all time. Surely this time, Japan would be heading to the World Cup. Asian qualification for the 1994 World Cup was split into 2 stages. The first round featured 6 groups, with only the group winner progressing to the final qualification round. Japan managed to win their group by 2 points from the UAE. So they headed into the final 6-team qualification round, which would be played in Doha over 2 weeks. Each team would play each other once, with the top 2 qualifying for the World Cup. Japan made a shaky start to the round, drawing 0-0 with Saudi Arabia and losing 2-1 to Iran. But they bounced back by beating North Korea 3-0 and South Korea 1-0. Teams were awarded 2 points for a win and 1 point for a draw, meaning the league table looked like this heading into the final game. For Japan, the equation was simple: beat Iraq and they'd be going to the World Cup for the first time. A draw would also be enough if either South Korea or Saudi Arabia failed to win, and if Iran didn't beat Saudi by more than 4 goals. All of the final group games kicked off at the same time, and Japan were quickly out of the blocks, with Kazuyoshi Miura putting them ahead against Iraq after just 5 minutes. But then, a setback. Iraq drew level in the 55th minute through Ahmed Radi, which was a problem because South Korea were 2-0 up against North Korea, and Saudi were 3-2 ahead against Iran. This meant Japan were dropping out of the top 2 and missing out on the World Cup once again. But in the 69th minute, Rui Ramos played through Masashi Nakayama, who put the ball under the Iraqi goalkeeper. Japan were heading to the USA. Going into stoppage time, Japan still led 2-1. The other games had just finished. South Korea had beaten North Korea 3-0, and Saudi Arabia had edged Iran 4-3. Japan only had to hold on to the win to ensure qualification. But, of course, the night wouldn't have become known as the Agony of Doha if it had ended like this. As the game ticked into stoppage time, Iraq forced a corner. They played it short, got the ball into the box, and Jafar Omran Salman headed home. It was pretty much the last action of the game. Despite being seconds away, Japan had missed out on USA 94. And in the end, it came down to goal difference, with South Korea securing second place after their 3-0 win over North Korea. In South Korea, this night is known as the Miracle of Doha. The despair of missing out on USA 94 in such agonizing fashion was a pivotal moment in the history of the national team. 4 years later, the ghosts of Doha were banished as Japan qualified for their first ever World Cup. And since that 1998 tournament, they've been ever present in the finals. reaching the round of 16 3 times. The next target for the Samurai Blue is to break into the quarterfinals, having come agonisingly close in 2018, throwing away a 2-0 lead against Belgium in the round of 16. And where better to reach the quarterfinals for the first time than in Qatar? Especially for one man. Japan's current manager, Hajime Moriyasu, was a 25-year-old midfielder playing for Sanfrecce Hiroshima in 1993. He was also a national team player and was on the pitch when Japan suffered the Agony of Doha. How great would it be to see him celebrate a successful World Cup in Qatar? So that was the story of the Agony of Doha. And let me know in the comments how you think Japan will get on at the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. Thank you for watching.